Welcome to an all-new On the Record. I'm your host, Dennis Morrison. Today, I want to show you some original Broadway cast recordings. Now, I'm not a great fan of show music. There's a few tunes that I like, but I love the album covers and the labels themselves and the information that's on the jackets. So we're going to take a look at some of my 6 favorite from my collection today. Today, here in Saginaw, it is a beautiful spring day. It is in the lower 60s and feeling so spring-like, I begin to feel sort of baseballish. And because of that, I wore my Detroit Tigers shirt, because the Detroit Tigers, everybody knows, are the best. Okay, all right, so let's start right off with a record that I think is really unique. The play was Fade Out and Fade In, starring the great Carol Burnett. And Fade In and Fade Out was an original Broadway cast. It was released in 1964, and it starred, besides Carol Burnett, Jack Cassidy, and it also starred Tina Louise. Now, do y'all know who Tina Louise is? I bet you do. Tina Louise was that sexy, sultry temptress Ginger Grant on Gilligan's Island. And so you get to hear her in a different kind of performance on this record. And there are, I believe, only 2 songs on here that she sings on, but it's a unique look at a different aspect of Tina Louise's life. This was done this was actually done, I believe, the year before Gilligan's Island started. And so she left a stage career going to do Gilligan's Island, which she thought was going to be a short-lived gig, and she thought she was going to be the star. Somebody should have told her that since it's called Gilligan's Island, it's not called Ginger's Island, that she might not be the star. I digress. I love the artwork on the cover. I'll throw up an image of that here in just a moment, of the full cover back and front. This was released by ABC Paramount Records, musical comedy. Music was by Julie Stein, based on a book by Betty Camden and Adolph Green. The story centers around the movie industry in the 1930s and the problems Hollywood players faced when the industry transitioned from silent to talking sound films. This play spoofed some of the great film stars of the early era, such as Shirley Temple, Bill Bojangles Robinson, and others. Tina Louise, as I said, can be heard on a couple songs on here, but particularly on a piece called Close Harmony. The cover, as I mentioned, it shows a great image of Carol Burnett, caricature with how would you put it, the outrageous exaggeration of her natural features. And I think it's just great. And she's seemingly holding the placard for the program with all the credits. And actually, a piece like this, I think, is nice enough to be framed. And on the back is another great image of Carol Burnett, one of my favorite comedians, and definitely my favorite female comedian. Now the next one is called Goldilocks, and Goldilocks was released by Columbia Masterwork Records, and it starred the great Don Amici. For those of you old enough to remember Don Amici, well, he did a lot of movies and he did some TV, but he did a spectacular radio comedy piece with Frances Langford as the Bickersons. And if you've never heard the Bickersons, put it in the Google or in your YouTube search engine, putting the Dennis Morrison channel in there also, and it'll bring up the episodes of the Bickersons that I have on here also for you to watch. But besides Don Amici, it starred Elaine Stritch and Margaret Hamilton, who was the Wicked Witch of the West way back in The Wizard of Oz. Nathaniel Frey is here also, who is best known for his portrayal in The Damn Yankees back in 1958, I believe it was. There's also Russell Knipe and Pat Stanley. And Goldilocks is based on a book by Walter and Jean Kerr. The music is by Leroy Anderson. Lyrics Gene Ford, Walter and Jean Kerr. And it was directed by Walter Kerr. Goldilocks ran 161 performances between 1958 and 1959. Now, the recording was orchestrated by Anderson and Philip J. Lang and was released, as I said, by Columbia Masterworks. From the back cover, let me read you a little bit about what the play itself is about. Let me show you the back too. It has also the credits set up across the back, really nice, as well as on the front. Again, a piece that would look really nice framed for display in your home studio. Okay, the back cover says, when Goldilocks was announced for production, the professional vultures around Broadway began honing their beaks with palpable relish. The authors, after all, were Walter Kerr, the critic and probably the deadliest accuracy and the most acute deadlines, and his wife Jean, author of Please Don't Eat the Daisies. I knew that her name sounded familiar. Please Don't Eat the Daisies. Great movie, great TV series, I thought. Very family oriented. And she also did a series of acid rhapsodies that began a rousing bestseller. And the Kerrs, in short, were sitting ducks. And when Goldilocks had the customary and inevitable tryout, probably in vain. For Goldilocks turned out to be a delightfully entertaining musical with uncommon wit and invention, an array of charming songs, and Leroy Anderson and a stellar cast splendidly equipped for any contingency. And again, I listened to this if for nothing more than Don Amici because he just was great, and you will not believe him and Francis Lanford and the Bickersons if you check that out here on my channel or any of the other channels here on YouTube that has classic old time radio shows. Alright, next up, should be familiar to everybody, Maim, but starring Angela Lansbury. And I love this cover. Look at, it has her again. I said use the term for Tina Louise, a sexy sultress, but Angela Lansbury looks like one right here. She was not always the cantankerous old woman of Murder, She Wrote. She had a stellar, I think, movie career and career on the stage. So, along with Angela Lansbury, B. Arthur played in here, and you can hear B. Arthur on some of the songs, and you can't mistake her voice. B. Arthur, Maude, Archie Bunker's incredible nemesis from All in the Family, which gave birth to her own show, Maude, and then of course she co-starred for many seasons on The Golden Girls. So B. Arthur, she was an awesome lady, and you get to on a piece like this, you get to hear again a different aspect of her career and what she did, and I think that's just absolutely great. Another big name that might not be so much familiar to you younger viewers, but is Willard Waterman. Now, Willard Waterman has probably one of the most recognizable voices on old-time radio, because he was the voice of the great Gildersleeve on the radio, and he replaced Harold Perry, who played Gildersleeve first. And he's well known in film and TV as well. If you've never listened to the great Gildersleeve, you must put it in the search engine and check it out. I have quite a few episodes here on my channel, and he also appeared in the late 1930s, early 1940s radio show Fibber McGee and Molly, which was a classic comedy, just absolutely great. Anyways, Maim is based on a book by Jerome Lawrence and Robert E. Lee. Music and lyrics were by Jerry Herman, and it was based on the novel by Patrick Dennis and the play Auntie Maim by Lawrence and Lee. And as I said, it also starred co-star Jane Connell and Frank Michaels. So, musical direction was by Donald Pippin, and I think this is one of the one of the cast recordings that I actually do like song on. I do like Maim. It's a good song. And this recording is pretty much good all the way through. I don't know if you can see this little picture of Angela Lansbury here. Back when this came out in 1966, she was still a real looker. So let's move along. I said 6 albums. There's a few more than 6, but well, I'm going to try to dash through these because I want to show you all these I have here. But it's nowhere near my whole collection. Next up, Bye Bye Birdie, and we've all again heard the name. We've all heard of this play, and it starred Chita Rivera and Mr. Dick Van Dyke. One of my favorite comedians. Dick Van Dyke is so well known from television and movies. I think everybody knows him. Played in Mary Poppins, many different things. And the Dick Van Dyke Show with Mary Tyler Moore. What can I say? It's a classic. It is an absolute classic. Really nice cover. It has this is a scene actually from the play. So it also starred Paul Lynde, who again was an incredibly funny man, who had a very sad life behind the scenes because he was tormented by many demons, as they say. But on screen, TV or big screen, he was hilarious. Then also Kay Medford, Dick Gauthier, also starred in this. It was based on the book by Michael Stewart, music by, hi Charlie, my Charlie cat's down here, by Michael Stewart, music by Charles Strauss, lyrics by Lee Adams, directed and choreographed by Gower Champion. And I want to read just a clip from the back cover of this. It says, a young music publisher and prospective English teacher named Albert Peterson, played by Dick Van Dyke, finds himself beset with urgent problems. There is his secretary, Rosie, played by Chita Rivera, who wants 2 things: to marry Albert and to become a partner in his business. Her strategy calls for a reminder to Albert that he had once planned to become an English teacher. Another pressing problem is Albert's domineering mother, May, played by the great Kay Medford. And so that just gives you a little bit of a background of what that play is about. And again, Bye Bye Birdie. I think I know that song. I might be thinking of the wrong one. I think the one I know is from the 1940s, and I don't know who sang it. Anyways. A Family Affair. Again, I like the cover of this one. It has a totem pole style family over here, and then it's laid out like a movie poster. Again, this would be awesome, framed and matted. It was released by United Artists Records in 1962. And A Family Affair starred Shelley Berman, very recognizable name at the time, not so much now. And it also Eileen Hackert, again, very well-known name at the time. There's Morris Kanowski, Larry Kent, and Rita Goodner. This was directed by Harold Prince. Orchestral arrangements were by Robert Ginsler. Lyrics by James Goldman and William Goldman, with music by, I'm going to have to look on here because I can't read my own writing on my cheat sheet. The music was by Stanley Lebowski. This, I want to read to you, make sure I covered all the bases there. It ran for 65 performances and had, 5 previews. A Family Affair is a righteous story of what happens after boy gets girl. And the first line spoken on stage is, "Will you marry me?" Oh my God, what a mistake for that poor boy. And the last, "I now pronounce you man and wife," and might as well nail the top on the coffin, dude. Sorry. Well, marriage isn't always that negative. Only my 2 were. It is the events that take place between these two lines which make for one of the funniest and most entertaining evenings of theater that you will ever enjoy, story-wise, acting-wise, and musically speaking. Now, I've never listened to any of the songs on here. Here's the cast. I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can. But I'm gonna take a listen to this eventually. Again. Now, this one is a more recent vintage. This was released in 1986. The Mystery of Edwin Drood, based on the classic book by Charles Dickens. And it has a very, this is another cover. This is one thing that as I said in the beginning, that I love about cast recordings, the artwork. It just, says, frame me, frame me. Lots of color as a cast, and credits are laid out here. And this person, I presume to be Edwin Drood. And it says it's the Solve It Yourself Broadway musical. I wonder if there's ever been another one like that, a mystery that you get to solve as you're listening to it. And then it opens up to a wonderful full cast photo. And so it starred Betty Buckley, not familiar with her, Cleo Lane, George Rose, and it was based besides the Dickens book, it was based on book, words, and music were by Rupert Holmes. Yes, that Rupert Holmes, the singer that many of you are probably familiar with. Directed by Wilford Leach. Choreography by Gracielle Danielle. It also starred Peter Cohenauer, Howard McGillen, and the album itself was also produced by the very talented Rupert Holmes. And this was a production of the New York Shakespeare Festival. That cover, again, laid out very nicely with all the cast and credits. It says briefly that Broadway's joy. Oh, one other thing. This is a digital recording. There was a time in the 80s when the recording industry had went from just purely analog records to digital. And I'm not going to try to explain that to you. That's better left for somebody like Techmoan or some of the others that do deal with the technical side of recordings and such. But it has a Polydor label, very nice Polydor label. And The Mystery of Edwin Drood. It says on the back, briefly, Broadway's joyful and triumphant smash hit musical sweeps off the stage and into the audience, and now premieres for you in its grandest form with the original cast recording. So, this I've not listened to either, but I'm going to take a listen to it. I have literally hundreds of records here that I have not had a chance to listen to yet, so I'm going to jump on that very, very soon. And then just a couple more very briefly. 110 in the Shade, and this is again original Broadway cast recording, RCA Victor Dynagroove. The musical starred at Will Geer, Geer. That's not the old dude from the Waltons, is it? I don't think so. But I don't see a picture of him on here, but it might be. And it also starred Steve Rowland, Scooter Teague, Leslie Warren, and George Church. It was presented by David Merrick, a very well-known name. The main stars, though, I should have done this first, I'm sorry, were Robert Horton, Iga Swenson, and Stephen Douglas, all very recognizable names. The play was by N. Richard Nash, music by Harvey Schmidt, lyrics by Tom Jones. I don't know if it's that Tom Jones, that, the singer Tom Jones, could be, don't know. Based on the play by N. Richard Nash. I need to look that up. I should look that up before I did this, so I could tell you. But anyways, dances and musical numbers were staged by Agnes DeMille, and again, a very nice cover. The sun looks so hot there, and she looks like she's absolutely withering in the sun. let's see what it says briefly about the play. The train station of a drought-stricken western town, early morning, the beginning of another hot day. In rushes Jim Curry, Scooter Teague, expecting his sister Lizzie, and Gus Swenson on the morning train. And from there, it builds. On the back is a picture of the producer, David Merrick, and we've got Robert Horton's picture here, Inga Swenson, and Stephen Douglas. Okay, so that's one that I'm going to take a listen to soon also. Next, No No Nanette. Now this one has a rather plain front cover, billed as the new 1925 musical. I love the stylist, how it's stylized. Looks very much Art Deco. No, actually Art Nouveau kind of looks, I think. The back cover on this one is spectacular and should be framed. And it starred Ruby Keeler, Jack Guilford, Bobby Van, Helen Gallagher, Susan Watson, and Patsy Kelly. All great people. And this new musical of 1925 was actually released in when? You know what? The date is not on here, did I? And I couldn't find the date. Oh no. But I'm thinking it was probably in the late 70s, early 1980s. Another popular name. This was, production was supervised by Busby Berkeley, who did great choreography back in the 1930s particularly. I remember the Fashions of 1934 movie, which starred Betty Davis, and he did the choreography for that, for the dance scene in that. It's just fantastic. He was awesome at what he did. So the lyrics were by Irving Caesar and Otto Harbach, music by Vincent Yeomans, book by Otto Harbach and Frank Mandel. It starred also Roger Rathburn, Lonnie Zoe Ackerman, Casey Townsend, Pat Lissinger, and the Busby Berkeley Girls. Production was designed by Raul Penny Du Bois. Penny Du Bois. Very nice looking album from Columbia, and it is, of course, in stereo. Ooh. One more I want to show you today. I'm going to show you more later. Not later today, but later. Anyways, this one is Sunday in the Park with George. And it stars Mandy Patinkin and Bernadette Peters. Both very recognizable names again. It's a musical, was written with music and lyrics by Stephen Sondheim, written and directed by James Lapine, and produced for records by Thomas Z. Shepard. And it is from RCA Red Seal again. It is again a digital recording, and inside enclosed is a libretto. And I'm assuming the libretto is this-o. It's like a booklet which has many images and lyrics from Sunday in the Park with George. Now this one also opens up and it has a lot of pictures from the production, and I like the record label on this one again, Victor Red Seal, or say Victor Red Seal Digital. So that's what I've got for you on this edition of On the Record. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at these really classic LPs, and I hope you'll join me next time when we're going to take another look at children's records, which I recently did one on, but this time we're not going to only take a look, we're going to take a listen for what is a program about audio that can't play you the audio. Silent, I guess. All right, thank you for being here. God bless you all. Love each and every one of you on the other side of that computer screen. I'll be back with you real soon. Later.